all of the questions, at least that I had in my head in the beginning that I needed answers for and didn't know where to look, ended up getting answered by you guys.
Try to lay it up and throw it up high. You get a bad skip and a roll. Next thing you know, you're in the river.
Any of you guys listening, if you guys have Discraft Hades and you don't like them, you don't throw them, hit us up and I will, take those off your hand.
Honest to God, you're the first podcast that I picked for disc golf. And I started listening right from the beginning. I liked what I heard. You got to, what was it, like the third, fourth episode where you started having somebody on and you did that ace round thing. And I put notes in my phone about the discs that they recommended for a person that's beginning to use. And I think your ace round is what really grabbed me at first.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode with me and Quinn here on the Chain Clankers podcast. We have something really special, something new for you guys. Talking to a fan today, kind of a testimonial. We started this episode for a reason and for newer players, for people learning the game, just like us. And so we just wanted to bring someone on, prove, put our money where our mouth is, and got to talk to someone that's, really cool. But what did we talk about today with our fan, Quinn?
Yeah, we brought on Patrick, and awesome guy. Really, really fun conversation today. We talk about his journey in disc golf, how he got started, and we just honestly break down what is going on in his game right now. A lot of you guys are newer players, beginner players, players who are wanting to advance in disc golf, right? You're listening to this podcast because you want to improve. So we talk to a guy who's only been playing disc golf for 3 months. You might be like, well, what can this guy have to tell me that's going to give me any value? Let me tell you what, there's so much value in what anyone has to say. And I personally am able to walk away from this episode learning a couple of extra things. So you're going to see a different perspective, and we're going to talk about his game and some things in our podcast that has helped. And it's super fun. And a lot of you guys have actually been messaging us, telling us we should do something like this. So here we are, we're doing it. Hopefully we'll be able to do more. If you want to be in Patrick's spot, definitely hit us up. Maybe you might be the next one to be in Patrick's spot, and we might actually have to come up with a segment name for this. But without further ado, make sure you guys are hitting that follow button if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, whatever it is, leaving those like ratings and those reviews on Apple Podcasts. Really let us know what's working, what's not working, what do you want to see. Really do appreciate all the feedback that you guys have, and we just want to continue to make this show better for you guys. But that's enough jibber jabbering. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the value. Let's go ahead and let's bring on Patrick. Alrighty, guys, like we mentioned earlier in the intro, we are doing something super fun, super unique. This is the first time we've ever done this. We are bringing on a fan of the podcast. We're bringing on Patrick Fisher, new player, and he's going to share a lot with us today. We're going to talk about his game, how he got into the podcast, how he got into disc golf, and so much more. Without further ado, Patrick, how are we doing tonight, my man?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Doing good. Excited to talk to you. This is definitely something that we talked about a while back about doing, and then you reached out and like we were like, that might be a good idea. We've said from the beginning that this podcast, we started it for the newer players, for players that are just they play league nights or local players. So this is what the podcast is about. So us doing this, I feel like furthermore cements that whole what we're about. So very excited to do this, and hopefully we do this a lot more in the future.
Man, I listen to you guys all the time. I was actually re-listening to a couple of podcasts today because I've gone through every one. I've listened to every one some more than once. So
yeah, and I mean that's also the thing, just with like a lot of things in life. I can't remember exactly what the stat is, but I think like the like typical human has to hear something like 10 times before it like actually finally like clicks and makes sense. And especially me starting a new job in a new industry, by golly, ain't that the truth? But that is just even more reason for all of you guys at home to continue to listen to the episode, re-listen to the episode. If you find yourself out on the course and, hey, let's say you're struggling putting, go re-listen to the episode we did with Scott Stokely and refresh yourself on putting. We've got a very fun putting episode also coming next week, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But, same thing with driving and, up shots. Like we've got coverage on a whole lot of topics in disc golf. So definitely go back, listen to him. It will definitely help your game. I know I find myself doing that when I feel as though I'm not playing as good as I can. But Patrick, let's talk about you. How did you get into disc golf?
Earlier this year, my son, he's 23. He started playing with his buddy, who's been playing for a few years. And we have a local course, very, very close. It's literally right down the road. And I've seen people out there and said to people driving by, like I should try that because I have played ball golf. I have clubs, and like disc golf, same thing per se, as far as rules go or whatever, for the most part. I'd like to try it. And then my kid told me he started playing, and it just was a matter of time before he got me out to the local Dick's Sporting Goods and made me buy a putter, a mid, and a driver. And it's been downhill since then. It's been a bunch. I've been on multiple bags already, mini discs. It's been about 3 months, call it just maybe a little over 3 months. And I've already dove headfirst, and it's a blast. I love it a lot.
It's very interesting. I feel like, new players that discover the sport, they either go the route of they get into it, they get 4 or 5 discs, and they never really buy any other discs again. They just play with those 4 or 5 discs forever. And then there's the other route, which is I feel like the majority, like us, you go and you want as many discs as you can get. You want different plastics. You want to try as many different brands as you can, different bags. You're constantly trying to change up what you carry and whatnot. And it's very interesting. What was it about disc golf, especially, I guess, that made you go that other route and just wanting to continue to get different discs and try different stuff?
I love being outside. I'm a big fisherman. I love yard games. And the fact that my son got into it just made it all the much better. I get to spend more time with my kid. I'm 42. Like I said, he's 23, going to be 23 in November. That might be it. Sorry, Jay, if you watch this. But I mean, I love spending time with my kids. So being able to do something active, being outside, spend time with the kid. And then like the first time I went out and I watched my son and his friend throw the discs, I was immediately like sucked in from just the flight, the watching the discs go. It's almost beautiful, the way that they fly, is especially when someone throws them properly and they do what they're trying to do. I don't know, it was just really neat. It sucked me in immediately, and it didn't hurt that my first time out, I mean, I was a bogey machine, double bogey machine, but I was able to keep up with the boys, and I still had a blast. I would have had a blast whether, I was getting 7 and 8s or 3s or 4s or whatever, but I was able to keep up pretty well.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Even in our episode that we did with Juliana Corver, I mean, she literally started her disc golf journey because of how one flight of the disc completely changed her life. And I definitely understand that just surreal moment of like watching it, but also the first time you throw a disc and it does what you wanted it to do.
That's so awesome.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that
It's
just the
so
best
awesome.
feeling in the world?
It is. It's very cool. The first time you throw an intentional hyzer, because as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen already, just in 3 months, I feel like everybody's got like an involuntary hyzer when they throw. Like initially, everybody kind of throws it on a hyzer, and they tend to just kind of tombstone down or spike down, whatever you want to call it. And when you throw the first one intentionally, and it even kind of does what you want it to do, and for me, even more, it was when I really started picking up the mids and throwing mids, and I was throwing them dead straight and level, and they were just going. It was awesome. Part of the addiction happened because part of it was the podcast telling me to use, certain discs, mids, start out with mids, throwing from a standstill, stuff like that. And when I threw the mids, and I wasn't trying to bomb them as hard, and I was just trying to control them, that's when it really hit me, got me.
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely probably for me and a lot of people the part that keeps us so hooked on the sport, the addiction of it, is those lines. And I think we all have a different shot or something that we get addicted to the most. I know for me, like it's the hyzer flip. Something about, having an understable disc, getting it to flip up, getting it to stand up, fly straight, and then turn over, fly a little bit to the right and just glide, like getting it to do that intentionally and whenever you need to, and especially when other people are maybe throwing a sidearm, it's like it's my favorite thing to do. And a lot of people, like where they normally everyone's throwing a sidearm and you go up there and throw a backhand. Like to me, there's just something about it and like executing it. It's so good, so good.
Me
Do you have
100%
do you have a favorite
backhand.
shot yet or something that you prefer?
I It just turns out to be like I guess you would call him the upshot. Um, Both my son and his friend who have been playing for a long time, he said he's never seen a guy playing as little as I have throw it in the basket from 80 to 80 or less so many times this quickly. I would say my favorite shots are my up shots, probably 100 or less. If you're asking as far as Heiser and Heiser, weirdly enough, I like Anheuser shots. I was good at them. I don't know why, but I'm good at Anheuser's. There's a couple of holes on the courses that if you're not a flicker, you got to throw an Annie. And I just started throwing Annies and they worked. And I landed, I want to say it was probably 280, 300. I landed 10 feet away from the basket through trees because it's surrounded by trees, and 10, 12 feet from the basket on an Anheuser. And my son and his friend were just like, what?
Yeah.
So the confidence is there once you do it, and then you keep doing it. You just get better at it. I don't get a lot of time to do any field work, unfortunately. I'm a welder and I'm the only welder at my shop. So long hours. So basically and now we're losing daylight, faster than you can, whatever, but I don't get a lot of time for field work. So my weekends, it's just round after round after round. And, we do sometimes three rounds, 18. We got a course here that does 27. So we'll do 18 and then maybe go out to that course and do 27 after 18. So I've done as many as I think it was 54 in a day.
Oh, wow.
My hip is hurting just listening to that.
See, I thought I wasn't going to be able to handle it. I'm 42. It's not like I'm super old, but I'm older. And I didn't know if I'd be able to handle it. In the beginning, I can admit it did burn me out. I would be spent after, 36. But I've basically conditioned myself now because we want to play so much, not to mention it's also coming to the end of the year. We're going to have snow. We just want to be out as much as we can. So just out throwing, man.
Yeah, completely understand
going
that.
tomorrow morning.
Especially once the snow is there. Oh yeah, that's when it really gets tough. Yeah, I don't know. I my body is apparently older than yours because by golly, my hip
How old are you?
cannot. I'm like 23. I'm
Okay.
not even 23. I'm 22. I don't know how old I am.
So you're as old as my kid, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I hurt my hip, not this last summer, but the summer before that, and just the long, grueling process of getting back to 100%. And it doesn't hurt nearly as much now, but I can feel the soreness and the needing to really make sure I'm warming up properly before going out there and playing. But something that really stuck with me from what you were just talking about was those up shots. My fiance is low key a straight killer at those kind of that same shot. Like I've never seen somebody just toss it in more from that range than her. Especially it's every time that I am about to start filming and then I miss it and then it goes in. I'm like, of course I went in because I wasn't filming. Like I guess what I'm kind of getting at here is what do you think you are doing for those shots that are maybe different than like drives or something like that? That is just giving you more success. Like, I guess what's making a let's say a 80-foot upshot more successful for you than like a 120-foot upshot? Is there anything you're doing differently?
I think part of it's that I got to put less power on it. I feel like I'm still in that part of my game where I'm losing accuracy when I'm trying to put more power on it. I'm getting better with it, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned for power, I'm lucky if I throw 300. I'm 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 lucky. Yeah, that's going to be like a awesome drive for me. This 300. Um, I have passed a few baskets at 300, but a little skip and a roll and whatnot. But um, the upshots, I feel like it's because of less power, and I've always liked stuff that I can be more finessey with. And one of the first discs that I bought that I learned real quick because I threw it a bunch because it was like one of the first extra discs I bought in my bag was a Macbeth Malta, and it fades to the left pretty hard, and it hyzers and just sticks and falls. And I mean, pretty much every shot that I've made in the chains from 80 or whatever has pretty much been the Malta. I did one with a Champion Beast. It was my first driver. Was a Champion Beast, and that one I wasn't even trying, to be honest. I just threw it. It was on the last hole of one of our local courses, and it went in, but it was still cool. And it was the last hole, so the first tee was right there, and a bunch of people are standing there, and they saw it, and people were like, "Whoa!" And I was like, but I would say the finesse and the fact that I don't have to rip them so hard is probably what does it for me.
And on that, my question to you, and I think this is also Louis, fiance, on those kind of shots that she makes or whatnot, and I think same with you and other people that do that as well. Are you taking those shots to put it in the basket? Like, are you intentionally like going for the basket? Because I think that's one thing, that I have, I would say I don't do that on those up shots. I would say most of the time I'm not shooting for the basket. I'm trying to get up there close, trying to give myself an easy putt most of the time. Sometimes I am running it, if I'm playing doubles or if I think I can make it in or something, or if I feel like I need to save a par, then I'm running it to the basket from, that 80 to 100 upshot. But most of the time, if I'm not needing to save anything or if it's not a special situation, most of the time I'm not running that shot. I'm just trying to get up as close as I can and give myself the easiest putt possible. On those shots, you're making a bunch of those. Are you running those every time?
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm running them, but the way I'm throwing the disc, I'm trying to basically drop it on the post of the basket or right under the basket so that I have like a tap in so I can just drop it in. I'm trying to get it as close as possible. A few of them, I might be trying a little harder to actually get into the basket, but it's mainly just trying to get a, easy putt because I'm not a great putter. So my idea was, if you're not a good putter, just make sure you get it close before you got a putt.
I mean, that's a fantastic thought. That's literally, that should be the thought. That should absolutely 110,000 million% be the thought. Until you continue to expand the range and feel more confident in putting, it's, hey, how can I get this upshot literally as close as I possibly can so I don't have to putt? Like I remember I want to say it was maybe my second tournament. Maybe it was both of our second tournament. Horatio, that one we did in Emporia, the Aces for Ace. That was like one of my, I think I got like third in rec, but would have won advanced if I would have played advanced in that tournament. Yeah. And literally the entire tournament, all tournament long, every single upshot was just smoking because it was right next to the basket. I think literally my longest putt, I had one putt of like 33 feet, if that, over 2 full rounds, because every single time it was within 10 feet, 8 feet, whatever it was. And like literally, especially at that rec level, the beginner level, hey, I'm getting into disc golf, putting is super difficult. Like I took 3 of my buddies out to, and they have not played disc golf at all or only a couple of rounds. And the putting is tough. Let me tell you what. Like I just because I literally do it so much in the backyard, I've almost kind of forgotten how tough it is to learn how to putt again. And just watching my boys, I was like, wow, this is actually really difficult. We need to do another putting episode because it's such a weird motion. And especially like you're not used to doing that motion, just playing catch with a Frisbee. So it's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So I think you're just absolutely hitting the nail on the head here with the trying to get those up shots as close to the basket as you possibly can is so important, which is, again, I've harped on this in the past. I'm going to harp on it here again, is picking your landing zones are so critical. Like Horatio was saying, he's not every single time trying to run it for the basket. He's trying to get it close to the basket. Like you were saying, Pat, you're trying to get it close to the basket, or it just happens to go in. So you have that nice, easy tap in birdie or par. It's the same exact thing with every single shot you do. In your mind, you want to mentally tell yourself, I want to land in this quadrant, and then doing it. If you always try to like aim for the basket, I think a great example is if you're, let's say, I don't know, you're 150 feet out, and if you aim directly at the basket, unless you're throwing something neutral and flat, like perfectly, which let's all be honest, probably not going to do it perfect 10 out of 10 times, you're probably going to fade early. And the next thing you know, you're 20 to 40 feet away, and that putt is probably not going in. Or if it does, you're walking out of there like, gee golly, got lucky here. Let's move on to the next. So really landing zones, I cannot harp on it enough. Landing zones are so important in disc golf. Picking that point, finding that landing zone. I just really think that can help a lot of people, which kind of brings me to this question. I'm going to ask you if you are doing that maybe on your drives. It sounds like you're doing that on your up shots. Are you taking what that, like, I guess, mental mindset from those up shots to your drives, or is it just more locked in on your up shots?
I'm trying it more and more as I'm getting more confident. In the beginning, actually, before I didn't have a full, what do they call it, the power grip, where you put all four fingers underneath. I was leaving one finger out, which was giving me a little bit more, what I felt was giving me a little bit more stability throwing the disc. But I was noticing I was missing distance. And I wasn't putting two and two together. And I was like, can putting one more finger underneath there and throwing with this power grip really give me more spin on the disc? You know, is it really? So I started doing it, and it does. It matters. If you don't do that power grip, or at least for me, if you don't have that power grip, you're missing just a little bit. I think some flick and some spin off your wrist, off that other finger, you know, the pointer finger. I was getting more distance. And once I started doing that, I was getting the distance where I could actually say I can hit this basket, you know, like I can tee off and, you know, get in circle one, call it. You know, I started going, you know, looking for my landing zone and really trying to do that with my tee shots. And I'm getting there. But like I said, I really started concentrating on like my mids. So even if I had a bad tee shot, I say I can usually get within, at the very worst, within 30 feet. And I would say I probably average 20 feet or better. So I'm pretty solid, and my putts are getting pretty okay. I was a straddler in the beginning, and now I guess I do more of like a spin putt where my legs are staggered and I lean into it and do a spin putt. And I'm way more confident on that. And I think it was one of the people that you interviewed. I can't remember who. It was one of the pros, and he said one thing that snapped when he said it and was like, are you following through and pointing afterwards, or are you dropping your hand? And I was like, I'm dropping my hand. I'm not pointing. So, you know, the next time I went out, it could have been the next day or whatever. I usually try to go a little early before the boys get there, and I practice on a practice basket, putting, get a little warm up, you know. And I started following through and keeping my hand pointed at the basket, and all of a sudden the chains just started going, man. And it was okay. There's one thing I was doing wrong, which, you know, added, you know, minus one thing off the list this tall. But, you know, I love the game. It's fun, man. I just do.
You know, you heard something, you applied it, you tested it, and it
Mhm.
worked for you. So you know you incorporated it into your game. You know, whether it's disc golf or anything else, I think that you have to apply things that you listen to or people are telling you. Anything you're wanting to do, whether it's disc golf or some other hobby, somebody has done it already. Somebody is a professional already. Somebody's already a world champion. Like Paul Macbeth is literally one of the greatest ever. Like someone has dominated and to a certain point mastered the sport. Like someone has already done it. Lots of people have already done it. And at this point, if you're a new player, you don't need to rediscover anything. You don't, maybe you can try to rediscover some things, but majority of the if you just want to be a good player, all you have to do is copy these great players. Like do what they're doing, figure out what's helping them, and that it's going to help you. There's no reason to get out there and to do it without any education, any tips from people. And I think that's one thing that we definitely have said a lot, and why we started the show and why we're here with you is because we want to basically pick the brains of pros and put that information into new players so they can save time. And you're 42, like you said, you're not old at all, but some people that didn't discover the game until much later in their lives, you have a lot of time to make up. I wish I would have started playing when I was, 16, 17.
Oh man, I wish now. I wish so bad now.
Yeah, I would be so good, so people like you are even older, you have so much time to make up so you can be the best player that you would like to be. And
Yeah.
the only way to do that is to learn from people who are masters of the sport and apply that every time you go out and play. Even if you don't have time for field work, you can still apply that during your rounds and eventually learn. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, and it sounds like that's what's helping you improve the most. And what parts of your game have you seen improve the quickest, I guess?
Well, I guess the quickest would have probably been the mid shots. Again, I think it was Horatio. I think it was you said standstill, shooting from a standstill or throwing from a standstill was another thing that I picked up. I started doing that on like every upshot just to try to make sure that I threw it straight or on the line that I was looking for. I was like, just stand still. And even if I'm short on the shot, but it goes in the direction that I'm aiming, I was happy. And then, a little bit more. And I wasn't throwing it, as we call it, with all the beans. I wasn't throwing it as hard as I could. I was just trying to keep it controlled and smooth. And as I got more comfortable, I would add a little bit more to it, a little bit more, then a slow X step. And then, it just all worked. It kind of just all fell into place. And it didn't take, like I said, just over 3 months playing. It didn't take much. And I'm only a weekend warrior right now. And it just, I think if you watch and listen and learn, you pretty much can do whatever you want. For the most part, you can learn whatever you want. And you pick up certain things and it all kind of folds in together, So I'm taking what I do with the mid shots and I'm kind of adding that to my tee shots to where I was trying to huck them real hard in the beginning. They were just hyzer and out, spiking down. So then I slowed down. I did throw some from a standstill. That was pretty pitiful. But they went straight, but I wasn't really going anywhere. And then I just started doing that slow X step to where it was just slow and methodical. And it all started to click to where now I don't have a super fast X step, but I've got like a medium X step. And I've got, like I said, about a 300-foot distance, 280, 300, something like that. Not all the time. Sometimes I don't throw it great, so it doesn't go that far, but it kind of just, I don't know how really to explain it other than it kind of all just kind of falls in line. You kind of got to take one thing at a time, or maybe two at most, and concentrate on one thing, which is, I want to get the release. I want to be able to throw that disc, and when it leaves my hand, I want it to be going where I'm, want it to go. And then I worried about more distance, I guess, afterwards.
So I guess an interesting question here then is and you've probably already alluded to this a little bit, but I just kind of want to flush out the thought. What is like the next step for you in your game? What do you want to improve next? What are you actively working on?
My tee shots, basically. I think if I can get my tee shots to go a little further, I can be more competitive with the people that I play with. I'm a short person right now. I don't go as far as my son and his buddy. I can get kind of close, but I'd like to get my tee shots more accurate and get a little bit more distance on them. Most of the courses I play around here, I don't really have to worry about, much more than there's a few par fours and whatnot around that. Obviously, I'm not going to get to ever. If I can get to like 325, 350, I'll be pumped. So I would say I'm working on distance and accuracy on my tee shots right now, and then putting from 30 feet or better. Which, if I was further than 30, I would probably just lay up. I would play, which I think you guys call playing for the par. Don't play for the birdie, play for the par. So if I'm playing and we're keeping score and I'm having a good round, I'll lay up to make sure if I have a second shot and I can lay up and make sure I get the par, I won't run the birdie. So tee shots, accuracy, distance, and then get my putting dialed in.
Let's talk about tee shots for a little bit. What, getting more distance, what are you driving with? Let's say you have a hole, that's 370, so you want to get a good long drive, a good open shot. What are you teeing off with?
Kind of depends. One of two discs right now. I've got two new ones in the bag that I haven't gotten to throw yet because they came in the mail. Longer shot, I throw in a Crank SS. Z plastic is kind of my thing right now. I'm really into the Z plastic. It feels good in my hand, and the grip from the Z plastic is really good. I can actually feel like, when you or you can hear it, when you throw a disc really well and you can hear that off of your fingers because of that snap that Z plastic gives that to me, and it's got a grip on it. So a longer shot, I would say Crank SS, and then a little shorter, an Avenger SS right now is what I'm basically throwing. I have a Thrasher I haven't thrown yet. I'm gonna check that out probably tomorrow morning. I do have a prototype Passion, Page Pierce Passion. That's an 8-speed. That's like super straight and it holds whatever you put it on. So I have been throwing that at like 250s, throwing that at that, and that's a very accurate disc. I really like that one. But yeah, the Crank and the Avenger basically right now.
And I know you and I, when we've been talking, you've mentioned that you have like 7 mid ranges in your in your bag right now. So are you more likely to then go to the mid range off the tee and take that control and almost more that predictability of knowing what's going to happen with that mid range, or are you automatically, almost regardless of distance, going to pull out one of those drivers? And if it is a mid range, what's kind of your go to mid ranges right now?
Discraft, ESP Buzz, it's a Macbeth 4 times first run. It's if I'm going to tee off with a mid, it's probably that one. If it's a real short one, I have an Archer as well that I'll tee off with. That thing,
that's a good one.
It doesn't fade.
No,
it just goes straight.
No, it doesn't.
It just goes straight. I have a Meteor as well that fades very, very little. And then I got an Adam Hammis Wasp that I just got not long ago, and that one fades a bit more. I will throw that one. Not a lot off the tee though. More of upshots for that one, and like the zone upshot. Obviously, I'm a Discraft fanboy, so it's just, I don't know. Discraft was just the brand I decided to go for. That had nothing to do with any specific player or anything like that. It was maybe name, design. I don't know. I like the disc names and whatnot, and just like the brand, I guess.
I throw mostly Discraft. I don't know what it is. I mean, they do have, the two of, the best players in the world. But even if you take that away, I think I would still throw Discraft. Something about their marketing, their discs just seem clean. The names are fun, but not too weird. The designs are nice, and the discs are just overall good discs, and like the plastic is good.
I think their swirls are cooler than most of the other ones. I mean, Dynamics got pretty cool swirls. I got a few Dynamics in my bag, but I actually got one right up on the wall there, part of my graveyard, because I've already got a graveyard, believe it or not. That's a Truth up there in the middle. I like some of the dynamic disc stuff.
Yeah, we're from Wichita, and Emporia is just up the not too far away, so we're in dynamic territory. But I threw a little bit at the beginning, but I never really got into it. The names were just, I don't know, the names and designs and stuff didn't do it for me. I feel like they've gotten better at it. They've started doing a lot more fun stuff and started playing with designs and plastics and whatnot. It's gotten better. But one thing that really did it for me for Discraft was the consistency. There was some, in the beginning, you lose a lot of discs, and being in dynamic territory, I was losing discs, and I would go out and buy another one, and it wouldn't fly the same, even like just out of the bag. And I wasn't getting the consistency from the plastic as I was from Discraft, and that was one kind of thing. And then I don't know, I just kind of
Discraft, if you
attracted.
go to their website, they got that whole flight pattern thing on their website. You ever look at that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't seen that really, and I haven't gone to everybody's website, I guess, but like they got that whole flight pattern on there, and you can see what they consider what level the disc is if you're, beginner, expert, advanced, whatever. And it did help me in choosing some. I'm actually after a couple of discs right now that I can't find. I really want to glide as well. But that flight pattern thing was, I mean, that was really cool. You can look for the disc that you're thinking you want to try or whatever, and it shows you what it does on a backhand, what it does on a forehand, how much it fades. I think it's really cool. So, I mean, that's another reason why I went with Discraft. I think off the beginning is checking out a couple of websites, and it just, well, they show me exactly what I need to know about all these discs right here.
They definitely are like the ones with the most clout right now, just because of who they have as
I
their
didn't think that.
players.
I mean, obviously Paul Macbeth, I get that, but like, I feel like more people, people are winning tournaments right now. I feel like it's Dynamic, Prodigy, and Innova.
Nah, no. What dynamic? When's the last like MPO dynamic winner?
Maybe not Dynamic. Prodigy and Innova. How about that?
Even then, I would say at the top
Yeah,
of, as far as clout,
Discmania
I
right
would
now.
Discmania.
Yeah,
Like
Or
everybody wants
Discmania.
Discmania.
Yeah, that's
I would
another one.
say
I guess I forgot about them.
like my ranking right now would go Discraft, Discmania, Innova, Prodigy. That's like the clout order right now. No tea, no shade,
What
because
do you throw in though? What do you throw in? You're a mixed bag guy though, aren't you?
yeah, I would say I'm definitely probably the most mixed bag here, but I've
He's trying to be
mainly
a prodigy guy.
I am low
Slowly.
key turning into a Prodigy guy. I don't know what it is, man, but I really am like a Prodigy right now.
Well,
Yeah, I mainly throw like my go-to drivers are Discmania. My putter is Prodigy. One of my mids is Prodigy. Yeah, so I guess wow, a whole lot of Prodigy and Discmania, and then some Discraft sprinkled in there. I don't throw. I have one Discmania, or excuse me, one Dynamic disc. That's a mouthful to say, and I think I have maybe one Innova disc in there. But yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, definitely in the beginning, I was very much on the Discraft and just like trying. I've always been a mixed bag kind of guy, kind of just wanting to try everything. And I think something that is really neat, actually, that Dynamic Discs has that I wish other companies had on their websites was they actually have a tool where you can type in what disc you're like looking for, and they will give you what is the closest that they have of that disc. So you could literally type in Buzz and it'll come up with like EMAC Truth or like whatever the Latitude and West Side's version of that is. So it'll give you options, which I think is actually really, really neat. So I wish other companies had that tool as well. I think just from
cool.
and I imagine building that's pretty difficult, but from just like a marketing and sales standpoint, I can imagine like that's really, really good for them, because if you're somebody who's wanting to transition to dynamic discs, or you just want to try it out, it's really nice and simple. You can look at what disc you have in your bag and you can compare that to what they have right then and there. So
Yeah,
that's really cool.
neat.
Also, not a sponsor yet, maybe one day if we get big enough. The Groove Shack in Topeka, Kansas, they have a website. I think it's literally called throwadisc.com or something like that. They have the craziest selection of discs, like that Glide that you said that you were looking for. My fiance was able to pick up one from there when we went to their store, and like they've literally, I don't know when the Malta first came out, but we've bought like 3 first run Maltas from there. We bought like a first run Zombie from there and just a bunch of other just crazy discs that you cannot find online right now. They have. So if you're looking for something crazy,
Around here,
definitely
that's pretty good.
look at them. I don't know. Not a sponsor, like I said.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe
soon.
one day. But
Well,
yeah, no, the Glad's a pretty
Somebody
cool dude.
should sponsor you guys. You guys are awesome. Somebody should
Just
give
stay
you a
tuned for
sponsor.
next episode. We've got some
All right.
exciting news that we're gonna drop next episode, but gotta hold
Awesome.
on to it just a little bit longer. That was a fun little discussion there. I want to talk a little bit, I guess, about how did you find our podcast?
Listen to podcasts at work with the AirPods. I'm a welder. I can't wear headphones, obviously, because I got a big helmet on. So earbuds or AirPods, and I used to listen to music all the time. I'm a big music guy. Everything. I like everything. One day I was just kind of sick of listening to music, I guess. Not like sick of listening to music, but just couldn't find anything that I was vibing with, and started looking into podcasts, and I ended up loving them. I like listening to true podcast or like true crime podcasts, stuff like that. Just long podcasts. I like 30 minutes or longer, something I don't have to constantly keep starting another podcast at. And obviously, as soon as I went out and disc golfed with my kid, first weekend, I was on the computer watching Jomez because he was telling me what to go watch on YouTube, and GK and Gatekeeper or Gateway, whatever they are. Started watching all of that, and then I'm at work and I can't watch YouTube videos while I'm at work. So I was like, I wonder if there's disc golf podcasts. And I looked up disc golf podcasts, and I read the description and stuff like that, and I picked yours. Honest to God, you're the first podcast that I picked for disc golf. And I started listening right from the beginning. I liked what I heard. I got to, what was it, like the third, fourth episode where he started having somebody on and he did that ace round thing. And I put notes in my phone about the discs that they recommended for a person that's beginning to use. And I think your ace round is what really grabbed me at first. Because I was like, oh, I can hear what pros say I should throw, which was a big thing in my head. I'm like, what am I going to pick? Who am I going to pick? What am I going to get? What should I get? Not even what am I going to get? What should I get? And I hadn't even known about like the shortage of discs yet. Like I went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought the Champion Beast, the Rock 3, and Star AVR were my first 3 discs. And it was literally a little AVR or a Innova side cap stand in the Dick's Sporting Goods. And my kid was like, pick these. And I was like, okay.
is there a disc golf store in your area, or did you go to Dick's Sporting Goods because that was the only place you could get discs right away?
I actually have a Dick's Sporting Goods credit card. And I told my kid, we can go here and I can get whatever you need me to get. I just told him, I was like, tell me what I need to get and I'll buy what I need to buy, and we'll go from there. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it yet. I mean, I figured I'd like it, but I didn't know if I was going to love it or whatever. So I start out with 3 discs, and we just went to Dick's because I go there. I buy fishing gear from there. I buy shoes from there. We just went there. I knew they had discs there. There was one place that I could say, if someone said, where could I get discs? I would have been, well, I know there's some at Dick's Sporting Goods. But I guess that's pretty much the reason why. And then I found out that our Played Against Sports has a ton, which is not far up the road.
Which, is very, I guess that's convenient. It's very good for newer players, but I wish those stores had more options.
Facts.
We've gone into those stores and looked just for fun. I've never bought discs at Dick's, but I've always been disappointed by the options. And I'm like, man, I kind of feel bad, for someone who's wanting to go get some discs, and this is kind of what they have to pick from. I'm glad they have them in those big stores, period. Like, that's super awesome. But I don't know who, works with them or whatnot, but I wish that, they were able to get different companies and just more varieties. They definitely do stuff that's easier. And, they do, usually it's always, I think, like DX plastic, and sometimes there's like some nicer plastics and whatnot. But I would,
they had more. They had Champion, they had Star.
Okay.
It's always Innova, and then you'll see a sprinkle of Dynamic. But Innova has got to have some sort of contract with them. I've never seen Discmania, and
I haven't seen anything else in our Dick's Sporting Goods. It's always Innova.
Yep, there has to be some sort of contract. Same thing with
you guys
Academy
have Played
Sports.
Against Sports?
Yeah.
Yep.
My neighbor, actually, shout out to him. He runs the Played Again in town.
we have one right up the road, and they have a lot of stuff there. Kind of got a little bit of a shoe in with the owner there because I spent a lot of money there in the last 3 months. So he kind of lets me know when the Discraft boxes show up.
Oh yeah. Is there not a local I assume you have a local like Facebook like group for disc golf?
Yeah.
Whoever is running
they're charging up so much stuff right now online, like Facebook Marketplace and stuff.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
ridiculous.
If that Play It Again has any sort of marketing, they should get in that group and be like, yo, we just got this stuff in. Because we see that all the time in our local group.
I'll see the post because they have a Facebook as well, the Play It Again. He'll post, hey, we got this in today. And I'll look over it all, and I'm at work. I can't get there, and I'll call him and tell him to hold something if I really see something I want, and he'll hold it for me. But you look on Facebook Marketplace like 4 or 5 hours later, and all the discs are on Facebook Marketplace. And it's usually like the same two guys that went in and bought them all. And they're $25, $30 a piece.
Yeah, that's pretty
Horrible.
annoying, especially, when we want to get as many people into the sport as possible. Like, it should not be getting marked up that much. Like, people lose discs, and it's understandable. I'm a huge Discraft Hades fan. Like, that is my disc. That's my workhorse. So quick shout, any of you guys listening, if you guys have Discraft Hades and you don't like them, you don't throw them, hit us up and I will, take those off your hands. I need more. I lost
I
two
can get you
the other day.
One of the stores that we go to that's further out of my way, and they got really weird hours.
Yeah.
They have a lot. They're like, what would they? The guy was telling me something like they're a 5-tier store, and like Play It Again would only be like a 2 or a 3-tier store, so they don't get as much stuff as they do because this is like a specific disc golf store. So they got the baskets, the bags, the discs, hats, shirts, all the stuff in there, and they got the big, huge wooden boxes, just rows and rows of discs, every brand.
Oh wow,
that sounds a lot like Groove Shack. Also,
let me know, because I can get them, like, they're online, but I don't want to pay $35-$40 for your Hades. Like, I literally just lost 2 the other day. So I paid, what were they, like 18, 19 brand new? They were $20 brand new. I think that's about the max I like to play and pay, unless it's like something super nice or cool. So
I'll probably be in there this weekend if you want. I don't know how you feel about it, but if you want to share some information with me so I can get a hold of you, I can definitely let you know if I see them.
Bag secured.
Yeah, because I need those. Those are my.
I've got like a prototype left, and then because you lost the other prototype that I traded with you, and then
I haven't lost one yet. I'm dreading the first day.
Oh yeah, we lost. I have not lost a disc in a while. And then we lost 2 back to back, and then 2 holes later lost another one. And I've got 2 first run Hades that I just am not ready to let go of yet. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully we can get the gosh darn boats into the ports, and we can get some more discs on the shelves. Wouldn't that just be so fun for everyone?
What do they call it? The Onyx?
Yeah. Got my fair share of those.
I think he likes the Onyx. I'm pretty sure he's been throwing that. He's more of a destroyer. He's been buying a lot of Halo stuff lately. Actually.
Oh gosh, that's the expensive stuff.
Yeah, I think he's got 3 or 4 of them right now.
Yeah, that's the stuff that makes you empty your wallet.
Oh yeah, we looked for one for like 30 minutes one day. We finally found it. I found it actually.
Nice.
But nobody wants anybody to lose a disc, so we usually, if there's not people chasing us around the course, if we can stop and look, we stop and look.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I literally think when we lost the second Hades, we literally sat there for 5 minutes rewatching the tape because we happened to record that and rewatched it, saw what tree it hit, and searched that tree. What we didn't find it. That was the thing. Like, we literally saw it hit the tree, fall out of the tree, and we could not find it. It was pretty thick. So maybe as some
time we seem to not be able to find one, they always seem to be up in the tree. Or it's always a thing where when you think they're going into the woods, they're going to stop, but sometimes they keep going. So then you got to stretch out a little further, and then all of a sudden they turn up. But usually it's one of the 2 things for us mainly would be it's in the tree or it went further than you thought.
Yeah.
I'm I'm so desensitized to losing discs. I'll look for a while, and then
They're
like
so expensive.
I'm not that attached to them. I don't get that attached to stuff, and that's why I don't want to overpay for discs because I know there's like a very good chance I'm going to lose it. My local course, like it's literally, I would say half of the holes are by water or like on a river or like, which the more I've played it, the less I've lost discs, and I haven't lost one there in a long time. But like, I play, I guess, courses that are risky, and like there's a good chance of you losing a disc, even if you are a decent player. So I'm just used to losing discs, and I don't know. That's why I hate overpaying for them.
I can't believe you're used to it though. I can't imagine that's
I've
anything I could ever get used to.
I've just lost so many. Literally, like my course that is down the street that I play like 5, 6 times a week. When I started playing, it's along a river. And if you're a new player, a lot of those literally like when we go play with my wife and my sister-in-law, they'll skip those holes. They're like, no, I'm not going to throw on here because it's like a right to left shot, like a hyzer shot. And if you overdo it or if it goes off, it's in the river and it's a deep, like you're not going to get in that river. And so I've just lost so
I'd
many
be laying
there.
up.
The cruddy thing about that is those river holes, they're like isn't a layup because you had the basket is somewhat towards the
On the
river,
river.
but
Yeah.
also
Oh,
like if you
so it's like
throw it,
forced.
you get a bad skip. If you try to lay it up and throw it up high, you get a bad skip and a roll. Next thing you know, you're in the river.
I'm afraid of it all. I don't want to lose any. Like I said, I feel that I mean, even though they're not really that expensive, they're expensive, especially
Yeah.
when you're like us, where we all seem to like to buy lots of discs. Even though most of the time I'm concentrating on learning, you know, maybe 3 of them at a time in the bag until I feel like I have a pretty good idea of at least how I throw them, and then maybe I'll check out something else. Like I got a Raptor and a Thrasher, both Z's, um, that I just got from Discraft. It took like 2 weeks to get here, but whatever. But I haven't thrown them once yet, and I'm gonna throw them tomorrow and see how they go. I'll be just as worried about those as I am about anything else in my bag. I don't want to lose stuff. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I just don't. I don't want to have to rebuy.
I've gone from the store to the course and lost discs that I just bought 20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Ugh,
it's just like
Pain.
it's just
it
part
is
of my
pain.
life and I've just gotten used to it. It's unfortunate, but that's why I hadn't those Hades that I lost the other day, which those hurt quite a bit, but still it's like they're just discs. And that's why I try not to get too attached to one. And literally that day I said, I've been depending on this
Yeah.
Hades way too much. I'm going to throw my backup because I had 2 reserve ones that I've had, but I don't even carry them. I keep them at home. And I was like, I've been depending on this one too much, and I don't want to, lose that one. And then I don't have a one ready to go that's beat in and I'm used to. So I threw in that second one that day and I lost both. But,
Ugh.
that's just how it goes. And that's
And that's
awesome that
just your go-to. That's just your go-to right now is Hades for tee, like big what hyzer tee shots,
No, just big drives. Like that's my
big
distance
drives.
driver. Like if I have like right now, I only carry 2 drivers. I carry the Hades and a destroyer. So if I have a shot that's, over 300, 320, I'm going to the Hades or the destroyer just for that distance. And so yeah, but I like the Hades because I can do anything with it. I can make it turn over. If I have a hyzer shot, I can do it, and it just works for me. So that's just been my go-to. But yeah,
Not throw the destroyer. I can't throw it. I have one, and I can't throw it. It'll come out level, and it just I can't throw it. I don't know why. It's like
It's
one
all
disc
about that
I
arm
can't figure
speed.
out.
It's all
Uh,
about that.
I think that's only a 12 speed though, right? It's only a 12,
Yeah, but it's just one of
and
those things where it's just so difficult, at least for me speaking personally, it's just so difficult to throw those higher speed discs if you don't have that like bomber distance because you're always going to have that fade. But you
try
just
crank
learn to throw with
SS.
it.
Should try a crank
I should.
13 speed, and I feel like it's the easiest high speed disc I've ever thrown.
Really?
And I've thrown a bunch. I mean, I've tried stuff that's in my kid's bag and his buddy's bag and stuff like that. I've thrown a bunch of stuff. I had a Shrike, stuff that's between 11 and 13 speed, and I feel like that crank SS has been the easiest to throw.
All right. Well, I have one more question, and then I want to get into the ace round. The question I have for you, I want to kind of bring it back just to the show real quick. If let's say you were meeting someone new, or you just got your buddy into disc golf, what would you recommend the show to them? And B, if yes, why?
Absolutely. I talk about you guys fairly often out on the course. So I've already been spreading the word about you guys. It's usually because I'm throwing, or, there's a person near us and like, oh, nice shot. Or, I mess up a shot. Maybe I'm like, oh, that was terrible. And they're like, oh, no big deal. I'm like, I've been playing for 3 months. I'm like, that's not bad then. And I'm like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and whatever, and YouTube videos and stuff like that. So I would absolutely recommend your podcast, and I would recommend it because I feel like you guys break down like everything. I feel like all of the questions, at least that I had in my head in the beginning that I needed answers for and didn't know where to look, ended up getting answered by you guys. The tips to fix your form or work on your form, and you guys talking about throwing in place, slowing down your X step, concentrating on one or just a few discs, learning your discs, stuff like that. Those were all the questions that I had. You guys got a good thing going on. I'm really stoked to see what you guys end up being further on, and I'll be here for the ride for sure. I definitely like your podcast and definitely would recommend, and I have recommended it already.
Well, we really appreciate it. That was our entire goal from the beginning, was just to be able to help as many people as possible. And because it was literally us on the same journey as almost everyone else. You've been playing for 3 months. I've only been playing for 2 years. So, a lot of the stuff that you're learning now, or like you're listening to now, it's stuff that I was learning at that time, when I had only been playing for 3 or 4 months. And so, you're right there where we were. And those episodes kind of take you along, and it's kind of, as you go to the first episode, you can kind of see what we've learned, and it's gradual. It's not, we weren't pros. A lot of the podcasts that we tried to listen to before we started ours, they were very advanced, very difficult. And so it wasn't pros hopping on and, giving clinics or telling you tips and stuff, which is, we have them come on, but then we break it down. We ask them questions to where they make sense to people that aren't used to playing. I think that's why it's important that, sometimes we do the episodes where we kind of just give our insights on what they were talking about and what it makes sense, because, you'll have players come on, if we had Eagle come on and talk about throwing a forehand, he's just going to give like the quick tips, that work for him. But for us, we're like, that won't even work for us because we don't have nearly as much power, as much experience. So, we have to figure out what they're talking about, what they're doing, and transfer it and, to where it works for us. But, definitely appreciate that. Hope you definitely keep listening. And I think with that, we're ready to get into the ace round. So it'll be fun, coming from a fan. So be very interested. We might have to, a couple of the questions, but they should still all work fine. I would say, first question, you're taking a buddy, based off of the episodes, based off your experience, what one putter, mid, and driver are you suggesting they buy?
So here's another funny thing with your Horatio. Warden would be the putter. One episode you talked about those, and I bought a couple, and I ended up loving them. I would say putter, Warden, between two different ones. I would say either a zone or an archer. Probably the zone, it's a little bit more forgiving, because the archer, you kind of got to know what you're doing. And then for a driver, for me, the first one that I really felt like I did something good with was probably the Avenger. And then, the clutch came after that, but it was the Avenger first, was the first one that I actually really felt like I could throw well. So I would say an Avenger, a zone, and a Warden.
Nice. Second question we got for you. What is the favorite course you have played and one course you would love to play?
All right. Favorite course I have played is it's in Slinger, Heritage Trails in Slinger, Wisconsin. It was the first time I threw on elevated tees. First time I seen, over 400s, and it was the first time I went to a course where I was like, this looks like something I've seen on Jomez, and it's just really well taken care of. And even though there's quite a bit of trees, lots of woods, but all of the like fairways, everything's groomed and cut out so well. It looks so cool. Lots of elevation, lots of up, lots of down. And then what would I like to play? Of course, I like to play. I'd have to go with Smuggler's Notch.
Yeah, that course
Always,
looks amazing.
yeah, that one looks really cool.
All right, next question we got here is, you haven't been playing for that long, but one tip you would give to yourself, when you just started playing, or I guess, yeah, one tip that really worked for you when you started.
Just slow down. I would probably try to convince myself not to buy so much right away and to just really, I mean, I know everybody says it and you guys have said it, try not to buy so much, but I really feel that learning your discs really makes a difference. And continuing to buy more and buy more just gives you more to learn, and you're not going to progress with the ones that you've already got. So I would say slow down and concentrate on a smaller bag. I would say would be my main one, but I'd probably still buy discs anyways.
Yeah, that is a big time shout right there. Definitely something that I think every disc golfer can improve their game a little bit by doing that. The fourth question we have for you: what is your favorite memory playing disc golf so far?
Oh man, I know exactly what it is. It's playing a course by us called Oak Creek, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce the name of the park because it's weird. But I want to say it's like hole 14. I got to witness my son's first ace,
That's awesome.
and it was sick.
I feel like that's almost as good. I don't know, sometimes better depending who it is. Hitting that first ace and you hitting an ace. I feel like yesterday my buddy almost got his first ace, and hit off the basket, and he was super excited. He's been working really hard, improving a lot. So it was really awesome to see. And I joked, but I was like, okay, now that I finally hit my first one, you're allowed to hit yours, because I'm the one that like has showed him everything, and he's I've taught him everything he knows, and he's played with me, and I hadn't hit one yet, and he almost hit one before me, and I was like, you're not allowed to do that. That's just not correct.
Yeah.
But I've hit mine, so now we're hunting for his, and he's getting close.
I literally said to my son, we were walking on the course, and normally his buddy Cody is there with us. It's usually me, my son Jordan, and his friend Cody that go the most. Few of my son's other friends or roommates come with as well. But it was like the first time Jordan and I were out without Cody, and he had brought it up, or I had brought it up that Cody wasn't there or whatever. And I even said, I said, well, Cody's not here. You're going to get your first ace. And it happened.
Yeah.
Which was kind of wild.
Yeah, it's sweet. All right, last question we got here for you today is, what is the biggest mistake you see new players make?
I think they try to throw too hard too fast. Like they want to give it everything they got right away. And obviously, I mean, some people could be natural with form and everything like immediately. I guess it's a possibility, but chances are you're not going to have it. So you got to slow it down and slow your power down. Or, I think the few people that I have seen go out earlier, like their first few rounds, I feel like they're trying to throw it too hard right away. That would be what I would say.
Yeah, and for people that don't believe that, we say that all the time, but it's so, so true. Yesterday, actually, me and my buddy, we like worked out, so we were like super tired, and we almost weren't going to go and play disc golf, but we did, even though we were kind of sore and tired. We went anyway, and he was bombing. Like, he was throwing farther and straighter than he normally does. So if you don't believe this, tip that we're talking about here, go to the gym and, or do something to where you get your body really tired and really sore, and go and play disc golf. And there's a really, really good, I don't want to guarantee because I don't want to be a liar, but I guarantee that you're probably going to throw a lot better because your muscles are so sore and tired that you're not going to be able to rip it hard. You'll have to focus more on your technique and your form and your timing, that you will end up throwing it farther. And, hopefully that makes you believe it. But yeah, throwing with more power is not going to give you more distance. So definitely slow it down.
Most of the time, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, they throw it, they give it all the beans, and they throw it, and it hyzers up or whatever, and it comes down in, 100 feet. And I mean, you could walk up to the tee and throw a zone at a normal speed call or normal power, and you could probably go further, and you're not giving it everything you got, so I'm a firm believer now, and because I've done it and I believe in it, is concentrate on your mids, because you can always come back. If the tee shot's bad, if you get good with your mids, you could still get to the basket. It don't matter if the tee shot gets there, as long as you get there. It don't matter which one it is. And being good at your mids, throwing straight, you get under that basket, man. You get under that basket, makes the par much easier, or makes the bogue much easier, or whatever. Makes your putt easier. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in that. Slow it down, disc down. That's what I would say. Slow it down and disc down.
Absolutely. That is a fantastic tip. Just as Aaron Rodgers said a couple of years, relax. Everything's going to be okay. Just relax out there. That's what you got to do. Maybe don't go to the gym and tire yourself out. I don't know about that one, Horatio. I don't know.
You
just
wouldn't believe
relax.
how many
just chill.
People were saying relax because of that. It was ridiculous.
Just relax. Patrick, I had a blast. I know Horatio had a blast as well having you on. Hopefully you guys at home enjoyed this episode. This is the first time that we've done something like this. If you want to be in Patrick's seat, go ahead. Let us know. And maybe we'll have you on as well. We had a ton of fun. I think just like in our episode with Cody Deal, he said from anybody who's playing disc golf, you can learn something from them. And I definitely have learned a couple of things from you, Patrick. So super thankful for having you on, man. And keep getting out there, keep clanking those chains. And I assume we'll talk to you again sometime.
Oh, for sure. I'll be around anytime you want me to be.
Thank you for listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from so you never miss another episode.